Good evening. This is the news tonight, your daily roundup of all that has happened across India and the world. I'm Ishan Russell, and tonight we focus on the winter session of Parliament, which ends tomorrow. Now, with the government trying to push through its economic reforms agenda and the opposition unrelenting on issues such as forced conversions, key bills remain pending. We'll be talking about all this and more over the next half hour, but first a look at the headlines we're tracking right now. Conversion row continues to disrupt proceedings in Parliament. Government rejects the opposition's demand for Prime Minister's statement on the controversy. Janata Parivar leaders raised the pitch against Prime Minister Modi and the BJP at a rally in Delhi, question unfulfilled promises on black money. Intense cold wave continues to sweep through northern India. At least 12 people have died. Delhi records its coldest day in 5 years. And Pakistan continues its crackdown on militancy to execute 55 more convicted militants on death row after the president rejects their mercy pleas. Our top story tonight, the row over alleged forced conversions and attacks on the government over bringing back black money stashed overseas stalled the Rajya Sabha through the day today again. Several bills scheduled to be taken up remain pending, with the likelihood of some to be passed on to the Rajya Sabha Select Committee.
Members of the JDU and SP debunked poll promises of the BJP government, protesting delays in bringing home black money, among others. The parties called for suspension of House business to discuss the matter.
जो वादे सरकार ने किए थे कि काला धन वापस लाएंगे, 200 करोड़ नौजवानों को जो यंग इंडिया है उसको रोजगार देंगे, जो खेती में जो खर्चा लगता उसका ड्योड़ा हम देंगे, और इसके बावजूद इन सवालों पर इस सरकार की तरफ से कोई पहल और कोई रास्ता नहीं दिखाया जा रहा।
हमारी कई पार्टियां जंतर मंतर पर धरना दे रही हैं मुलायम सिंह यादव के नेतृत्व। इस मामले को हमने रखा है 267 के नोटिस में कि आज की सारी कार्रवाई को, और रेजोल्यूशन साथ में है, रोक के उस पर चर्चा कराई जाए।
Leader of the House Arun Jaitley, however, said the motion for suspension of business was inadmissible as the black money issue had already been debated in the House.
इस विषय पे ऑलरेडी चर्चा हो चुकी है और इसलिए जो शरद जी जिस विषय पे रैली कर रहे हैं, the motion itself is inadmissible. The suggestion for a discussion itself is inadmissible.
Another long-standing issue, alleged forced conversions, also returned to disrupt proceedings in the Rajya Sabha. The opposition blamed the government for the standoff that prevailed last week, putting it down to the Prime Minister's silence on the matter.
दुर्भाग्य की बात यह है, चर्चा से विपक्ष नहीं भाग रहा, चर्चा से सरकार और माननीय प्रधानमंत्री भाग रहे हैं। ये दुर्भाग्य की बात है। सत्ताधारी दल के मंत्री और सत्ताधारी दल के सदस्य विपक्ष के नेताओं को बोलने नहीं देते, हस्तक्षेप करते हैं।
हम लोग चर्चा से नहीं भाग रहा है। We want a discussion, sir. We want a discussion also along with these issues.
As SP members displayed placards and marched into the well, there were 3 adjournments in the pre-lunch sitting. There was no let-up in the post-lunch session either, even as the government looked to take up pending legislative business.
There is one important bill which is pending. All are important, of course, but this particular one, because it said time, like 31st December, if you don't approve this bill, lakhs of people in Delhi, their premises will be sealed and then they will be removed, because most of these are in unauthorized colonies and इसलिए कृपया इसके लिए अनुमति दीजिए, इतना मेरा रिक्वेस्ट है।
As the opposition refused to relent, the chair adjourned the House first till 3 p.m. and then till Tuesday. Several key bills that were to be introduced in the Rajya Sabha have not been taken up in this session because of the continuing uproar. The Repealing and Amending Second Bill 2014 and the Payment and Settlement Systems Amendment Bill 2014 are likely to be referred to the Rajya Sabha Select Committee on the last day of the session on Tuesday. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now in the Lok Sabha, the opposition extended the conversion row protest, seeking answers from Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The demand for the Prime Minister's statement on the controversy was rejected by the government. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Naidu said neither the government nor the BJP has anything to do with conversions. Naidu also insisted that the government does not support conversion or reconversion. He said that state governments are empowered to take action against any violation of law. Now, the issue of conversion was raised by the Congress member K.C. Venugopal in wake of media reports about conversion of 30 Dalit Christians in Kerala. He was supported by other members of Congress and opposition parties.
Certainly this indicates the purposeful movement of the Sangh Parivar, organizing this type of massive conversions, forcible conversions.
देश विदेश में ये गलत प्रचार हो रहा है, इसको थामने के लिए, रोकने के लिए हम सब एक हैं, लेकिन आप अगर बढ़ावा दिए, डायरेक्टली इनडायरेक्टली अगर तुम बाहर करते जाओ, हम ऐसा बोलते जाते हैं, ये ऐसा हो रहा है, मैं मारे जैसा करूंगा, आप रोए जैसा करो, ये नीति चल रही है.
Party also has nothing to do with these programs. Individuals are taking the programs. If somebody violates the law, either in Uttar Pradesh or Gujarat or Kerala or Andhra Pradesh or any state, or Karnataka, any state, the law is very clear, it will take its own course.
All right, somebody who's been tracking all these goings on in Parliament is Anita Chavan. She's a senior journalist and she joins us in the studio. Thanks very much for coming in, Anita. But simply, I mean, the government has its reforms agenda, its key bills pending, and the opposition stalling in both houses. Sorry, not just stalling, but creating quite a bit of a headache for the government. So, as far as this winter session, how would you call it?
Well, what I can say is that for a change, you saw a very united opposition. Because the issue which came up was not economic reforms, but of secularism and thanks to this conversion row, which is, you've seen these conversions being taking place all over the country. And that is what united the opposition. As a result, you saw parties which you would never see them on the same platform, like TMC and the left, or SP and BSP. They all came together because on this issue, nobody can be seen to be backtracking. If it had been merely an issue of an economic reform like insurance, then the Congress would have been in a spot. Because it is, after all, their bill, and the government, when it went to the select committee, the government has accepted most of its demands.
Right.
So it would have been a little difficult for them, to reject it or to oppose it. So this has kind of united the opposition. And you saw it till the bitter end, even tomorrow you'll see that nothing is going to be happening and the disruptions are going to continue. To that extent, what has happened is that the conversion row and all these, the controversial statements made by the MPs like Sadhvi Niranjan Jyoti or Sakshi Maharaj, they brought the various disparate groups together.
All right, Anita, as far as but the reforms agenda, the economic reforms agenda, the government, the big ticket reforms, whether we talk in the insurance sector, or whether we talk about the GST bill, all these things, I mean, seem to have really gone on the back burner and are not to be up to the government to really have them pushed through in the next session of Parliament.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. Because as far as the GST is concerned, I think the government cannot afford to push it through, too much. They have to get all the parties on board because it's a constitutional amendment bill. So they have done a lot of homework of talking to the various chief ministers and the finance ministers of the various of the state governments and accommodating them to the largest extent possible. Right. Which is why they were not even aiming to pass the bill in this session. Their objective was primarily to introduce it and then pass it in the coming budget session, which will be in February. So to that extent, yes, they have succeeded because they were able to introduce the bill, which was what they were aiming at. Right. But as far as the insurance bill was concerned, because it was already, they wanted to pass it in the last session, the monsoon session, if you recall. But the other parties insisted that, and especially the Congress also insisted that it had deviated from their bill. There some 2 changes had been brought in, and so it should be sent to a select committee. Right. So they managed to delay it. Now it has been further delayed. So the government was quite confident that once they agree to the Congress party's suggestions and recommendations, they'll have a smooth run. Right. But it has obviously not happened because the proceedings in the Rajya Sabha were derailed. And the Rajya Sabha is where the opposition has a majority and the government is in a minority. Right. So that's why you saw this logjam.
All right, so this logjam expected to continue tomorrow as well on the final day of the winter session of Parliament. Thanks very much, Anita, for coming in and explaining us the nuances of this political permutation and combinations that keep happening. Thanks very much for coming in. Well, moving on now, the Rajya Sabha today adopted a resolution condemning bail granted to 26/11 attacker Zakir Rahman Lakhvi. Now, the House conveys strong concern over Pakistan's apathetic stand of granting bail to a terrorist just 2 days after the country faced its worst ever terror attack, the horrific killing of 132 children in a Peshawar school.
This House expresses its grave concern at the numerous delays in the prosecution of Zakir Rahman Lakhvi and the apathetic attitude of the government of Pakistan, which resulted in the grant of bail to him.
A strong nudge from the Rajya Sabha to Islamabad, asking it to keep terror kingpin Zakir Rahman Lakhvi firmly behind bars. All political parties unanimously adopted the resolution as the House expressed grave concern at delays in bringing the perpetrators of the 26/11 attacks to justice. The resolution reaffirmed a desire for legal action on behalf of the people of India and urged the Indian government to take appropriate steps in this direction.
Urges the government of India to take appropriate steps in its power, including through its relations with other countries, to persuade Pakistan to bring this matter to a logical conclusion.
On Friday, the Lok Sabha had adopted a similar resolution condemning bail to Lakhvi. Lakhvi was arrested in 2009 after India submitted evidence to Pakistan about his involvement in the 26/11 massacres. On Thursday last week, a Pak court cited lack of evidence as the reason behind granting him bail. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And pitching for larger opposition unity, 6 constituents of the Janta Parivar shared dyes today in Delhi. The gathering, termed a Mahadharna, was used as a platform to accuse the BJP of divisive politics. The leaders also criticized Prime Minister Narendra Modi over unfulfilled poll promises like bringing back black money. The NCB also backed the protest with at least 2 leaders attending the rally.
Lalu Prasad, Nitish Kumar and Mulayam Singh Yadav shared a platform to step up the erstwhile Janata Parivar's pressure on the BJP government. The protest is being dubbed as the first solid step towards the merger of the parties into the Samajwadi Janata Dal. The agitation was launched against the BJP government at the centre. Leaders accused BJP of divisive politics over the conversion row. They also slammed the Prime Minister for failing to bring back the black money stashed abroad, a promise he made during the Lok Sabha elections.
2 करोड़ नौजवानों को कहा था बताओ, नरेंद्र मोदी बीजेपी वाले संघ वाले बताओ, 2 करोड़ नौकरी का वादा किया था, आप बोल रहे हो कि स्किल, फिर जाओ सीखो नीचे, कहाँ गया नौकरी बताओ।
इन्होंने देश भर में कहा था काला धन वापस लाएंगे और अब कह रहे हैं कि पता ही नहीं है, न हमको पता, न आपको पता, न मेरी सरकार को पता, न पिछली सरकार को पता। अगर पता ही नहीं था तो चुनाव में कहा क्यों?
भारतीय जनता पार्टी हमेशा धोखा देती रही, झूठ बोलती रही, अफवाह फैलाने वाली है। अब समझ गए, अस्पष्ट हो गए। तो आगरा में किस तरह शुरुआत की है, अब देश में ये दंगा फसाद कराना चाहते हैं।
Addressing the large gathering, leaders promised to script a new story in the Indian politics by ousting the BJP.
धर्म बदलो, इधर आओ, उधर जाओ, तो ये तो चुनाव में कहा नहीं था, ये तो दूसरे काम में लग रहे हैं।
जनता को चाहिए एकजुटता, एक होंगे, एक रहेंगे और देश को सही रास्ते पर ले जाएंगे, सही विकल्प प्रदान करेंगे।
Meanwhile, NCP was represented at the rally by DP Tripathi and Tariq Anwar. Trinamool Congress chief Mamata Banerjee also sent a note of support to the leaders backing the major protest. With inputs from Manu Diwan, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
All right, we'll take a very quick break right now, but coming up on the other side, the stage is all set for the result of the assembly polls in Jharkhand and Jammu and Kashmir tomorrow. Welcome back. This is the news tonight. Well, the stage is set. The preparations are complete. Jharkhand and Jammu and Kashmir are ready for the results of the assembly polls tomorrow. Centers have been set up for counting in both states. Security is also in place for possible attempts to disrupt the process. Counting will begin at 8 a.m. tomorrow. The 5-phase polls saw record turnout in both states. Especially in Jammu and Kashmir, the number of people who voted has been the highest in the last 25 years. Now in Jharkhand, which has been battling Maoist violence, 1,136 candidates are in the fray for the 81-member assembly. After split with the Congress in the state, ruling JMM is facing an uphill task to earn another term. In Jammu and Kashmir, the fate of 821 candidates in the fray will be announced for a place in the 87-member house. The ruling National Conference is facing stiff competition from the PDP for the next term. Facing anti-incumbency in the valley, Chief Minister Omar Abdullah said there have been moments of regret for him in his 6-year tenure.
I've had the opportunity and the honor to serve the people of Jammu and Kashmir as Chief Minister for 6 years now. Or aspects of the last 6 years that I will always carry some regrets about, and I have made no secret of what those areas of regret are. At this point, like to thank the people of Jammu and Kashmir who overwhelmingly participated in the assembly elections.
Right, we have a correspondence in both these states going to the assembly polls, rather with the results tomorrow. And Sham Sundar now joins us from Ranchi in Jharkhand. Sham, very quickly, as far as the outlook for tomorrow is concerned, a lot of chief ministers Jharkhand has had, they're all in the fray. But a vote for development and stability is what a lot of voters were saying this time around.
Ishan, we can say that we have seen a very unique campaign from BJP side in Jharkhand in these elections. We can see hoardings in Ranchi which say that Modi government in center and Modi government in Jharkhand. There are many big leaders. Former Chief Minister Arjun Munda from BJP, then Raghuvar Das is there, and then Saryu Rai is there. But none of these leaders were projected by the BJP, and BJP contested these elections only on the name of Narendra Modi, though they have done some alliance with smaller parties like ADSU and Lok Janshakti Party, and then they were successful to rope in two big Adivasi leaders, Stephen Marhandi and Hemlal Murmu. So, and these things are on the similar lines as they have done in UP and Bihar in Lok Sabha elections and Maharashtra in Vidhan Sabha elections. And then on the other side, JMM and Congress, they have contested separately. Congress and JDU and RJD, they have an alliance, and JMM is contesting independently. So BJP is quite hopeful that Narendra Modi will win Jharkhand this time for them. But then big question remains, who will be the Chief Minister? And BJP is very, very clear. Narendra Modi will decide, the Chief Minister of Jharkhand, if BJP gets majority in Jharkhand.
All right, we'll have to wait till the results tomorrow. But going by what you're saying, the BJP certainly having an edge for now. We'll have to see and whether that comes true tomorrow. And Sham, of course, will be keeping a track of all those developments for us. Thanks very much for coming in, Sham, with that update. Well, in fact, you do tune into Rajya Sabha TV tomorrow. We will bring you continuous coverage from the counting from 7 a.m. We'll be joined by an eminent set of panelists to analyze every bit of that result. All right, now moving on to another story, and it's frightfully cold in North India because cold wave conditions continue unabated. Intense cold has already claimed 12 lives so far in different states. Dense fog and low visibility have thrown the transport system out of gear, with hundreds of flights and trains being cancelled. The Met Office has warned that the cold wave will continue for the coming days.
Northern India continued to grapple under extreme cold conditions on Monday. Fresh snowfall in the hills caused minimum temperatures to plunge to near freezing point in many cities. A thick blanket of fog covered the entire northern region, disrupting flight and train operations. National capital Delhi remained colder than even Shimla at 4.2 degrees Celsius, witnessing its coldest morning in the last 5 years. A thick blanket of fog enveloped the capital city, forcing cancellation of more than a dozen flights and trains. Around 50 trains were reported running behind schedule, causing massive inconvenience to passengers.
ठंड से बहुत बुरा हाल है दिल्ली में 5 साल के बाद ऐसी कि ठंड देखने को मिली है।
कोहरा बहुत ज्यादा है, स्कूटर चलाने में परेशानी हो रही है, ट्रैफिक बहुत ज्यादा जाम हो रहा है। अभी कोहरे का और ठंड का सीजन जारी है और ये चलेगा। आज 25 मीटर विजिबिलिटी है, पालम एयरपोर्ट पे नहीं बल्कि शहर के कई इलाकों में भी विजिबिलिटी आज 25 मीटर हुई है। आज सबसे घना कोहरा इस सीजन का अभी तक शहर में रहा है।
Thick fog and mist led to road mishaps in 2 districts of UP, claiming at least 3 lives. 8 others are reported to have died due to severe cold conditions. Biting cold weather claimed 1 life in Rajasthan as well. In Punjab, dense fog and chilly weather paralyzed normal life, severely affecting rail, air as well as road transport.
मैं कल रात से ही चली हुई हूँ, तो इसमें यहाँ आकर मुझे सुबह मैसेज मिलता है कि यहाँ पर फ्लाइट कैंसिल हो चुकी है। हम यहाँ पे वेट कर ही रहे हैं 3 बजे 4 बजे, मतलब रीशेड्यूल कर देना, ये कैंसिल का बोल रहे हैं और अगले 7 दिन तक बोल रहे हैं।
In Jammu and Kashmir, dry and cold weather conditions prevailed on the second day of July Kalan, the 40-day harshest winter period. Minimum temperatures remained below the freezing point. The Met Department has predicted similar or harsher cold conditions in the coming few days. Fresh snowfall in the hills will lead to minimum temperatures plummeting further. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, now soon, non-resident Indians could have their say in elections in India. They could be granted voting rights by the centre. External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj said on Monday that the Election Commission is working on this long-standing demand from NRIs. Sushma said that NRIs can have 2 options to vote according to the polls panel suggestions. They can use proxy EVMs at embassies in their respective countries, or the other way is to use their voter ID cards back home to exercise their franchise. Sushma made the assurance at a press conference ahead of the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas, or the Indian Diaspora Day, which will be held on January 7th in Gujarat.
कोई निर्णय इलेक्शन कमीशन नहीं ले सका है, लेकिन ये 3 तरह के सुझाव हैं जिसमें ये असुविधा जो उन्हें यहाँ आकर वोट देने की होती है, इसका हल निकला है और मुझे लगता है जल्दी इसका हल निकलेगा.
Well, let's take a look at some of the other stories from across the country in Nationwide. BJP sought resignation of Punjab's Revenue Minister Bikram Singh Majithia after the Enforcement Directorate served summons to him in a drug trafficking case. The BJP urged Chief Minister Prakash Singh Badal to follow the precedent of morality set by him and asked Majithia to resign. The demand comes as a setback to its coalition partner, the Shiromani Akali Dal, which continues to back Majithia. The Border Security Force today recovered nearly ₹4 lakh fake Indian currency near Indo-Pak border in Jammu and Kashmir. Acting on specific information, BSF troop carried out search and cordon operations near the international border in the RSTV sector. 2 militants were killed in an encounter with a joint police and army team in Assam's Chirang district today. The militants exchanged fire with the security forces in the Chirang Reserve Forest. An M16 rifle, an AK series rifle and an INSAS rifle were recovered from the militants. 1 person kidnapped by the extremist outfit was also rescued during the encounter. Some international news now. Pakistan is preparing to execute at least 55 more death row terrorists amongst the 500 convicts soon. Now, the decision for execution came after the rejection of their mercy pleas following the end of the moratorium on death penalty. An Interior Ministry official said President Mamnoon Hussain has rejected the mercy appeals of 55 militants after the Peshawar school massacre. Several mercy appeals were pending since 2012 after former Pakistan President Asif Ali Zardari refused to take action due to the moratorium. The killing of 2 New York City police officers on Saturday has mounted pressure on American authorities. The New York police official said that a gunman had a long criminal record. Even as vigils were held across New York for 2 murdered police officers, protest groups called for a cooling of racial tensions.
Vigils and silent protests across New York after 2 city police officers were killed in an apparent revenge attack. Religious and community leaders paying tributes to them at the same time, calling for healing in the city, which has been rocked by racial protests over the chokehold death of an African-American man, Eric Gardner.
That was definitely not our agenda. We are going in peace, and anyone who's standing with us. We want you to not use Eric Garner's name for violence, because we are not about that.
I think it is time for all New Yorkers to come together and heal into that process and give up everything and just ask God and pray for healing. And that's all I think.
According to the New York Police Department, the gunman Ismail Brinsley had a history of violence and mental instability. The gunman had posted messages on social media saying he would kill the police officers in retaliation for the chokehold death of Eric Garner and another victim, Michael Brown.
There's others with talks of anger at the police. He specifically mentions Michael Brown and Eric Garner. And other postings as well of self-despair, of anger at himself or where his life is right now.
Meanwhile, in Florida, another police officer has been killed in a shooting on Sunday. Police officials said that they have taken the suspect under custody. However, they did not give any motive behind the killing. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, time now for some other news from across the world in Global Buzz. North Korea issued a new threat against the United States. Pyongyang accused US President Barack Obama of recklessly spreading rumors that North Korea is behind last month's cyber attack on Sony Pictures. A statement from the National Defense Commission warned of strikes against the White House Pentagon. Meanwhile, US President Barack Obama in an interview said he does not consider cyber attack to be an act of war. Spanish Princess Cristina will face attacks for trial over alleged links to her husband's business dealings. Princess Cristina and her husband are among 17 people ordered to stand trial in the case involving his News Foundation charity. Her husband is accused of embezzling millions in public funds with a former business partner. However, the couple has denied all accusations. Tunisia is geared up for the results of the presidential runoff elections. Exit polls suggest that the 88-year-old BG SBC could win the country's first free presidential election. The results will be out late tonight. However, Tunisia's caretaker president Marzouki has refused to admit defeat. All right, some sports now in Sports Beat. Akshar Patel will replace injured Ravindra Jadeja for the last two tests against Australia. The left-arm spinner was called into the squad after Jadeja was ruled out with a shoulder injury. Akshar has played in 9 one-day internationals and taken 14 wickets. The third test will start in Melbourne on Boxing Day. Sachin Tendulkar has been selected as brand ambassador for the 2015 Cricket World Cup by the International Cricket Council. It will be his second successive time as the ambassador to the ICC's World Cup series. Being the ambassador, Tendulkar will be promoting a variety of ICC initiatives to enhance the profile of the tournament. The World Cup is scheduled from February 19th to the 29th of March 2015. Veteran Indian golfer Arjun Atwal ended his 4-year title drought by winning the inaugural Dubai Open. Atwal beat South Korean teenager Wang Junhyun by 1 stroke. This was Atwal's first title since the 2010 PGA Tour. Well, that's the news tonight. Good night.